As you know, the word petroleum comes from combining two Latin words, petra, which means rock, and oleum, which means oil. A German mineralogist first used the word petroleum in 1556. Ancient Egyptians also used liquid petroleum as medicine for relieving pain, treating wounds, and as a laxative. Today, oil plays a crucial role in our lives, even though it's not an ideal fuel, and everyone is thinking about finding alternatives to replace fossil fuels. However, humanity still relies on this black substance. In this video, we'll explore how the world's oil and gas reserves came into existence through the perspective of Versa Vista. Please stay with us until the end of the video, as always. By the way, what is fossil fuel? Firstly, we should know that fossil fuels are created from the decomposition of fossils, such as aquatic and terrestrial organisms. The bodies of these organisms break down through bacteria. You should know that bacteria eat the edible parts of the organism's remains, and the leftovers stay on the ground. These remains, left on the Earth for millions of years, eventually entered the Earth's crust and have now become fossil fuels. One of the most well-known fossil fuels is oil. The first oil well was discovered in 1859 in Pennsylvania, USA. In those years, it didn't have much value because people didn't know what they could do with the oil. They were only extracting about 3,000 liters a day, and they weren't using it much, just for lighting at night. Today, around 90 million barrels of oil are extracted from the earth. We know that the majority of the world's oil is around the Persian Gulf, but the question is, why? What does the Persian Gulf have that results in such a large amount of fossil fuel? Was the Persian Gulf a forest or a habitat for dinosaurs before? No, those answers are incorrect. Millions of years ago, the entire Western Asia was underwater. But the Persian Gulf had a unique condition called a basin, meaning it attracted everything towards itself, pulling ocean waters and the remains of organisms towards its bottom. This is why the largest oil and gas reserves are found in the Persian Gulf region. In other parts of the world, similar accumulations occurred, but not to the extent of the Persian Gulf. If we move away from the Persian Gulf, in Venezuela, there is a significant amount of oil, and Canada and the United States also have substantial reserves. For instance, Venezuela, like the Persian Gulf, was underwater and had the same basin condition, pulling aquatic life, fish, algae, plants, and other remains towards itself. With over 300 million barrels of oil, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves. After Venezuela, Saudi Arabia comes next with around 266 million barrels. It's important to note that the oil easily extracted in the Persian Gulf and Venezuela is different from other types of oil found within rocks, which is difficult and expensive to extract in Canada and the USA and needs a technology named fracking. Fracking requires advanced technology and is costly. If global oil prices are low, it's not economically viable to extract this type of oil, which costs around $50 per barrel. Before the United States developed fracking technology, it was dependent on oil from the Persian Gulf. However, with their own fracking technology, they now extract oil independently. But, as mentioned earlier, the global oil price needs to be above $50 for the extraction of this type of oil to be economically feasible. It's interesting to know that Canada also has a significant amount of oil, nearly equivalent to Venezuela. However, extracting oil in Venezuela is much easier, while in Canada, It requires the use of fracking technology to extract oil from rocks. You might wonder why the oil in the United States and Canada is beneath rocks and the Earth's crust, while in the Persian Gulf it gushes out with a small well. The reason is that the fossil fuels in Canada and the US have a much shorter lifespan compared to those in the Persian Gulf and Venezuela. Scientists say that if we wait a few million more years, the oil in Canada and the US will become similar to Venezuela's and will be easily extractable. However, the challenge is that nobody is willing to wait. Since I can remember, people have been saying that oil will run out in the next 20 years. But I've been around for 33 years, and there's still oil. As we move forward, new oil and gas reserves are discovered. However, human greed drives us to extract all the world's oil, and the only thing preventing us from doing so is our concern for the environment. As you know, fossil fuels contribute to global warming, and now there's an effort to reduce oil consumption and use more natural gas. It's worth noting that natural gas is also a type of fossil fuel, but it produces less pollution compared to oil. Currently, the cleanest fossil fuel in the world is natural gas, and its production process is similar to that of oil. Today, technology is moving towards generating the most electricity using natural gas-fueled engines, like jet engines. But my personal opinion is that humans don't pay enough attention to the environment and always pursue their interests. That's why some countries don't stop extracting this black substance, or at least they don't do it with future considerations. This issue doesn't seem significant for the giant life form we call Earth, as it easily copes with humans. However, adjusting its temperature a few degrees up or down will take harsh revenge on humanity and lead to our destruction. What do you think? Please share your opinion.